Okay, so for most lights that we put up for a show, they usually hang up in the air. So we use this, it's called a C-clamp, because it looks like a great big C, and we put it in the pipe, and we clamp it right down, and it hangs very nicely. But for this light, we know that the lighting designer wants to put the light on the ground so that it can be shooting up at an upwards angle. This will probably be used for some sort of special effect. So we have to take off the C-clamp and hanging irons, and we have to put it on a floor mount. Set it up, coil its cable, tilt it. Oh, it's upside down. Okay, let's try it again. Tilt it. We pull out its shutters. So once our lighting designer decides what lights are going to go where, they then have to decide what colors are going to go into what lights. So for our purposes today, our lighting designer has chosen Roscoe number 73. So I'll look at the light plot and I'll find out how many lights get Roscoe 73. And then I will have that color ordered in sheets. And that's what a sheet looks like. It takes care of about 6 lights. We cut it down with a paper cutter, and then we insert these colors into the lights as are appropriate. And if anybody is wondering, it costs, depending on the show, it costs between $150 worth of gel per production to anywhere upwards of $350 and more worth of gel. The more saturated gel is on a stage for a musical such as Les Mis. Les Mis had a lot of saturated blue, and our lights are run between 750 watts and 1000 watts, and our gel is susceptible to fading. So if we have a lot of saturated gel, we'll have to replace that gel mid-run. So a show like Les Mis, $350 worth of gel. A show like The Foreigner, $150 worth of gel. Just as every color has a number assigned to it, we also have what are called breakup patterns, and they also have numbers assigned to them. And a lighting designer can look through a booklet of patterns and decide what image they want a lighting unit to project onto the set. And they will take the number that that pattern represents, and they'll put that on the light plot along with the color number, and then I'll know what to put in the lighting unit. So take the pattern, put it in a pattern holder, stick that right in the unit. So when I plug this in, this light should come right up. There it is. And it's a little bit fuzzy right now, it's out of focus. So I'm going to make that nice and sharp so you can see what our color along with our pattern together would look like. Okay, so we're going to put our floor mount right where the lighting designer wants it, on the floor. We're going to aim it at the door on the set. And we're going to plug it. Remember number 129? We are going to plug it into 129. And then we're going to follow this cable back to the dimmer rack, where you can see where the power comes from. Follow me. Here's the other end of that cable, also conveniently labeled 129. This is our lovely dimmer rack, one of our lovely dimmer racks. And we're going to plug this circuit into a dimmer that will provide all of our power, and it is labeled 129. I'm going to bring up another series of dimmers that are going to show you our front light and how a lighting designer would bring up our front light, the light that's coming in over the audience's head right towards the actors' faces. So I'm going to call these out, and I'd like you to pay attention to how the light comes up across the stage in a nice orderly fashion. With dimmer number 14, dimmer number 63, dimmer number 17, dimmer number 120, dimmer number 118, so now we're going to go up and we're going to take a look at the light board. I'm going to show you how the light board makes sense of all of these dimmer numbers and how we organize our lights so that it's easy to write light cues and in turn to write shows. So we're in the light booth and this is our light board computer and this is where we control all of our lights, and I'm going to show you how we organize all of our dimmers so that we can control them a little more easily. This is our monitor, and on our monitor we have a large number of gray sequential numbers. These are called channels. And channels are what the light board computer uses in order to organize all of our dimmers. All of those numbers that we just brought up, well, we go to a feature called patch, and remember dimmer 14? 63, 17, 120, 118, well, they're in channels 71 through 75. And it makes it really easy to bring up a series of channels that will bring up a series of lights in a nice, orderly fashion. So the next part of the question is, how do we utilize these channels in order to write a show? And shows are written in a series of what's called cues. And right down here is the first cue of the foreigner. So all of these different channels have different intensities assigned to them, and a cue does two things. It brings up the channels to their assigned intensities, and it does it over a period of time, and these are seconds, that is assigned by the lighting designer. So this is where art meets technology. So we'll go from cue point 5 to cue number 1. You can see the time running right through here to cue number 1.5, and all of these different levels and all of these different channels are moving over a period of 7 seconds. And we do that from cue to cue to cue and so on. And that's how we build what are called looks, which are cues, and the looks are how the lighting designer helps contribute to the storytelling of whatever play we're doing. So once all of these looks are made, all of these cues are written, those cues, those numbers right here, are given to our stage manager. Our stage manager then takes what's called her cue book, and she puts those cues in her cue book right here. This is the first page of The Foreigner, and we know that cue point 5, cue 1, cue 1.5, cue 2, cue 2.5, and cue 3, all of those things happen before we get to the first word of dialogue in the play. Here's another one right down here. So on page number 69, I know that cue number 29 is going to go when the character Betty says, "Let me see." And that's what our stage manager does. So she will literally, this is called the go button. It's been hit so much, there's another one right next to it that's exactly like it. It's called the go button. She'll hit the go button, and that will advance the cue to the next cue, to the next cue, to the next cue, to the next look. So we have all of our lights out there. All of our lights are plugged into circuits, which have their own individual numbers. All of our circuits are plugged into dimmers, which have all of their own individual numbers. Then we come up to the light board. We patch all of our individual dimmers into channels that the lighting designer wants to use, and then we assign the channels intensities, and then we assign all of that look a cue number. The cue number gets a time, however many seconds that cue is going to run, and then the stage manager at the appropriate time during the show hits the go button.